alien invasion. Is it biblical? Of course it is.
Clearly, I'm not here today as a fact witness.
You can Google it.
I think you just use the Bible, do whatever the hell you like.
Just remember, it's not a lie if you believe it.
Welcome to Mystery Bible Theater 3000. My name is Caleb Hegg. With me, my lovely assistant, Rob Vanhoff. What's up, Rob? How's it going, man? We got a good one for you today. This one has been sent in to us by multiple people in the same week that are not associated with each other. That's how you know it's going to be good.
Well, they say, testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses.
I mean,
the matter is established.
It's a thing. It is a thing. And so before we jump into this, I do have to say, I guess, so we record this show. We actually pre-record this show on Tuesdays. No, Mondays. Sorry, it is Monday today. We pre-record on Monday, and then it comes out the next Friday. So our big show, our average show, our normal show, which is done on 9:30 a.m. on Wednesdays. If you missed that this last week, you need to go back and you need to watch that, because what we did was we inserted a mystery Bible. No, we haven't recorded it yet, but what we're going to do, when you're watching this, we have. So what we did was we inserted a Mystery Bible Theater 3000 episode in the middle of our regular show. And it's
like Russian dolls.
It is. That is exactly right. They just keep popping out, man. Go back and watch it. It's going to be show 433. Very worth the watch. Okay. Today, a video sent to us by multiple people. This one by this video is by Kap Chatfield. Now, Kap Chatfield, I didn't know this until this was sent to me, but I have gone down the rabbit hole of looking at his various videos. What he does, obviously very sincere. So I don't want to put the brother down in terms of that. He's obviously very sincere in the way that he goes about his video making and whatnot. But basically, what he does is he creates YouTube shorts. And shorts are, I think, under a minute, a minute or less. I could be wrong about that. Don't quote me on that. But they're usually around a minute. And what Kap Chatfield. That's what it is. What he does is he'll say something in the beginning of a video. So he finds other videos online. Then what he does is he'll record himself watching it. He'll say something like, "This is awesome." And then he'll play the video. And then at the end, he'll make a comment like, "I love this so much because blah, blah, whatever. Subscribe for more. If you love Jesus, subscribe for more." Okay, so I'm getting a real kind of maybe, I don't know if charismatic, Pentecostal vibe, maybe a little bit from him. A very modern Christian. In fact, let me just real quick. Let me just see if I can find Kap with a K, Chatfield. And what I want to do is I want to read his about here. It says, this is what Kap says. He says, "Hey, I'm Kap Chatfield. I'm an online pastor of Love Church, Omaha, Nebraska. And I help people practically live a supernatural life directed by the Holy Spirit. I talk about spirit-led relationships, finances, influence, spiritual warfare, prayer, and cultural commentary. Follow me on social media." So that's kind of the intro to his page. Once again, I think that there is some sincerity here. But with that said, I found that this is not the only video that could be played on. And once again, it's not necessarily his stuff. He's playing stuff. But here's the question that I would have, and maybe you can answer this, Rob. Is a person just as guilty for the we did this with like Shapira and Michael Brown. Is a person just as guilty of the content if they repost it and give a affirmation to it, like, "Yeah, this is good, this is great, this is amazing," and then they play the video?
Yeah, well, remember we were talking about the baseball player for the Blue Jays?
Right.
I mean, he endorsed it and then he backpedaled.
Right.
I don't know what the status of that is. We talked about it a little bit.
He's on leave.
Yeah,
he's on leave. There you go.
So here's the thing. You signal this social media thing, tweetering or whatever, you're signaling
shows your
endorsement publicly.
Yeah.
And what that statement means, you're saying, whether you want to believe it or not, you're signaling to the community of viewers to hold you accountable, that this represents your viewpoint, and then therefore to expect you to behave in accordance, and that your beliefs are in accordance with what you're publicly endorsing.
Right.
I mean, that's also can be understood in like the signal. What is baptism? What is public baptism in Yeshua's name? That's you're saying, hold me accountable,
right,
to what I'm saying. Do you hold me accountable to what I'm publicly identifying with? I'm signaling identification, and I see this as a similar way. Unless you say, this guy's an idiot, check this out.
Kind of like our show, right?
Yeah.
We replay all sorts of stuff that we thoroughly disagree with, but that's the point of the show. Okay, let's go over.
Right, the context. So what is the context of the audience is like, okay, Messiah Matters is hearing something that's maybe a half-baked theology, and they're going to help us kind of understand, what's from Scripture here, and where is imagination taking off, and we want to bring a level of nuance,
right,
and a sharpened listening ear to all the crazy things floating around out there. But we provide that we provide that caveat up in advance.
And one of the things I'm trying to do with my children and homeschooling them right now is certainly I tell my children what I believe and what I think they should believe, right? I mean, this is what a parent should do, is direct your child, right, in what the truth is. However, one of the things that I'm trying to do desperately is give my kids a critical ear. In other words, when something is said, even if it's by me, my father always taught me, where is that in the Bible? Like, give me a verse to back that up, and then we can talk about whether or not you're exegeting correctly or not. But you don't just say something. Give me a verse. And that's going to be important in the video we're about to watch. But
I say yes. When you signal socially like that, an identification, or you're forwarding or sharing something, whether you're fully thinking of it or not, you're sending a signal to everybody else publicly that you endorse this, to associate your inner convictions with what you're promoting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So several things on this video. Actually, before we do this, if you want to be one of the people who sends us videos for the wackadoo here on this Mystery Bible Theater 3000 show, you can do so. See Hegg at TorahResource.com, CHEGG at TorahResource.com. We like keeping our videos somewhere under about 3 minutes. If you send us a longer one, we may or may not watch it, but we may cut it down. We'll take a look nonetheless. And
pray about, if you're going to forward something we post, pray about it first.
And of course, don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Okay, here we go. Kap Chatfield is his name. Here we go. Now, there is on the top, someone is talking. They have a whiteboard. It doesn't look like they've actually hashed this out at all. It just looks like they've kind of drawn the tabernacle with a couple of names on it. Kap Chatfield is down below. And I think he's written on his video, you'll never read this verse the same again. Truth in the life, and that's what it is. Okay, so here we go. You ready? Here we go. Actually, yeah, let me kick on over here. Here we go.
And no one comes to the Father except by...
Sorry. I screwed this up. Let's go.
This is awesome. Everybody knows that Jesus says he is the way, the truth, and the life. But do you know what he was talking about? Well, God told Moses to build a tabernacle. The tabernacle was a process into the presence of God, for man to enter the presence of God. And it looked kind of like this. Now, I didn't draw it to scale, but I do want to just show you. There was an outer court that you had all these things happening out here, a brazen altar and a wash basin with water. Then you have this door into the holy place. There was a table of showbread and the lampstand and the altar of incense. And then you had the most holy place, or the Holy of Holies. And this is where the Ark of the Covenant and the mercy seat, this is where the presence of God dwelt. The glory of God filled this place. Well, when he said, I am the way, I am the truth, and I am the life, he was talking about this tabernacle. This gate was called the way. This door was called the truth. And this veil, remember this veil that was torn from top to bottom on the cross? This veil is called the life. I am the way, the truth, and the life. and no one comes to the Father except by me.
If you love Jesus, click follow or subscribe for more.
So, okay, Cap now has, he's, as this video's going, he's like, you can see down below, yes, this is amazing. And of course, for Rob, who cannot see the video, the person in the video now has put the way next to the door into the outer sanctuary. The truth is the door into the holy place, and then the life is the door into the inner sanctuary. I think that this is going to be pretty obvious to anyone who watches this show at all. But my main comment is going to be, we're going to need some receipts on that. Where in the Bible are you getting that from? Now, I didn't see, this doesn't look to me, and I'm going to kick this over to Rob here in just a second. This doesn't look to me like this was hashed out at all. There's no Bible verses written. Normally I would say something to the effect of, maybe the person whom he is pulling a clip from has a whole teaching on how they got to this. And maybe there's some verses or something that might support such a claim, or maybe some historical background from some books or some articles or something where people are claiming that these were the names of the doors and the gates. There's none of that on the whiteboard. There's nothing. This person has just said words, and now Kap Chatfield has come in after them and apparently bought it hook, line, and sinker. And this is the joy of things like TikTok and YouTube and other things, is that no receipts necessary. This reminds me a little bit of people who go into Costco without a receipt. They bring in an old barbecue that's been sitting out in the rain for the past 10 and a half years. They wheel it in and they say, hey, this broke. I would like my money back. And what are the people behind what I feel Cap is doing in this video is he's saying, not a problem. I'll certainly get, how much was it? And the person's like, it was $150 when I bought it 10 and a half years ago. I'd like that money. And Cap's just like, boom, here's $150, right? But what does Costco normally do? What should we do? We should say, where are the receipts? Show me a receipt on that. You didn't buy that here. You bought that at Kmart 10 and a half years ago. That's nonsense. And so for anyone to get me to even remotely consider such nonsense, I would need receipts to talk about. You're going to have to give me Bible verses. You're going to have to give me historical inscriptions. You're going to have to give me something that shows that this is the case. Rob?
Yeah, this, there's a funny, now I don't know if this obviously is not like a Hebrew roots.
No,
no,
definitely not Hebrew roots, but it reminds me of something they would say.
Yeah, there is. So there's no place in the Torah where, well, you'd have to convert it back into Hebrew. So way would be Derek, right?
Right.
The truth would be Emet, and life would be Chaim.
Yeah.
So you'd have to. The first thing a person would do is like, okay, well, let's just believe this guy for a second. Let's just, I don't mean like really believe, but I mean like, let's just give him
let's pretend.
Let's say, okay, let's
run
Google
with this.
It.
Yeah.
Let's Google it.
You can Google it.
So you go to your Google Bible, your Bible
Yes.
Google.
Yes.
And you look up way. Well, you're not going to find Way or Derek as the name of how to get into the courtyard, and you're not going to find Emet, the word truth, for going from the courtyard into the holy place. And you're not going to find Chaim, life, going into, on that note, who went in was the high priest once a year, and it was a matter of life or death. If he had to, Aaron or whoever the high priest was, had to do the Day of Atonement exactly right, or he would die. So Nadav and Avihu, his two sons, go in, and we don't know exactly where they went, but we know that they were somewhere in the tabernacle, and they offered the strange fire, and they were destroyed instantly. So there's things like that we have to think. But it reminded me of a Messianic Jewish midrash on the word echad, which is spelled Aleph, Chet, Dalet. And what they say is this is when Yeshua says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, they rearrange it. They do the shell game. So you have Aleph is, I am the truth, Emet, for Aleph. I am the life, Chaim, with a Chet, and I am the way, which is Dalet. So Aleph, Chet, Dalet spells Echad. So when Yeshua says, I am one, he's saying, I am the. So this is just another example, but not in the popular Christian social media sphere, which I think this short video was about. This is not reaching out to the Messianic or Hebrew roots at all, except there is a potential crossover in that he's venturing into talking about the tabernacle, right? So there is a little bit of Hebrew rootsy kind of thing, but it's not Messianic Jewish, obviously, because he would be throwing some Hebrew in there, probably, or
right.
He'd be a rabbi or something.
Yes, of course.
So, yeah, this is real. I don't know what you call this, but I see it as an undisciplined, sloppy, kind of midrashic imagination. Like the idea of, they think of the tabernacle. They don't really know anything about the tabernacle. He had to Google, and he's like, there's a brazen the altar and the water and so he doesn't really know anything about the priesthood. The fact that no Israelite could go in there, that by death penalty, you can't. Right. Only Levites and the sons of Aaron specifically are ministering, and they're guarding that place. He's correct that the glory of God is in the Holy of Holies. But yeah, this is an attempt to say, there's like 3 levels. There's like, you go in to the courtyard, then you go in. Well, only a son of Aaron goes into the holy place, and then only the high priest goes into the holy holes once. So it's a complete flattening of what I consider the rich and thick and just wonderful meaning communicating to us about God's holiness and the nature of the hierarchy of authority in this world, and God's desire to dwell in the midst of his people, but the idea that the world is full of sin and death. So there has to be what the tabernacle is, a death machine for animals, right? I mean, it's a controlled, it's a space where blood is shed very specifically and precisely for the purpose of having what's holy somehow in God's wisdom be in a world that's full of sin and death and impurity of that comes with that. And so that controlled death of all the sacrifice, all the blood, it just totally, in my view, leaves a listener who's just satisfied with sugar to think that now they understand something more about Yeshua or the tabernacle. And it's a shame, in my view. It's a shame. Now, if someone hears that and goes, I want to learn more about the tabernacle, and they forget the video and dive in, hey,
great. Yeah, God can use whatever he wants. There's several things here. First of all, yes, we might be picking here on Kap Chatfield, but the truth is that if he would have even given receipts on who made that video, because he doesn't post it anywhere. I didn't see a link back to the original video. Now maybe it's on the actual YouTube short in the description. I should probably go look there, but it's not on the screen. So we can't pick on the person who made the original video. So sorry, Cap, but you're the one who gets the brunt of the exegesis here. But
there are in church history, and I think in even the Syriac, the Assyrian church, after the temple destruction, like the early centuries, sure, where they're taking they take Noah's Ark or they take the mountain of Sinai, and they see there's you can't get to the base of the mountain, and then some could go up, but only Moses could go up to, and so they do this tripart thing with the ark as well, getting into the ark, and then And the idea was then that they see the tabernacle similarly. It's like the tabernacle is somehow representing Mount Sinai, and so it's a portable Mount Sinai where God's right. And so it doesn't make me mad that people look to make these kinds of parallels, but are we pushing too hard? When is it like, we've really left scripture and we're just doing a Rubik's Cube?
They're just making stuff up at this point, though. And people have for a long time just made stuff up. The thing is that what ends up happening is that people regurgitate what is made up as the truth. And then they base their teaching on it. They base their Bible studies on it. It's these footnotes that continue to go and go and go. And pretty soon they work their way into, and there are examples of this, by the way, they work their way into popular theological belief. Yeah, I mean, we could look at a lot of different things like that. Okay, so I think one thing that would wrap this up well is what's on his bookshelf. And I'll go first. I think that...
Which guy?
I'm going to say Cap. We can only say Cap at this point, and the reason why is because I don't know who the other person is at all.
Oh.
So what's on Cap's bookshelf? And after looking at his, and this is all conjecture. We could be totally wrong on this. It's just a little. I think that what helps me with what's on his bookshelf, what it does is it frames where I believe Cap is coming from theologically. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, you usually throw them under the bus. But there's a reason that I think Cap might be shaking his head in agreement with such nonsense. And I think the reason why is because I think that he has a tendency to lean towards books maybe written by Stephen Furtick. Once again, I would say, so Stephen Furtick is probably up there on the list. In my view, this feels a lot like a Furtick kind of exegesis of biblical things. And so the fact that Cap is very much in agreement with such nonsense and doesn't ask for any receipts, yet calls himself a pastor at the beginning, in his YouTube description, tells me that there is a different kind of pastoring going on. So I would say, Stephen Furtick, I would say that there's a lot of self-help books on his bookshelf. Maybe some Osteen, because we get both. We get spirituality wrapped in with self-help, and how can Jesus help me, as opposed to how can I serve Jesus? And I'm not saying that about Cap. I'm not saying that there isn't a genuine and real want to serve Christ. I think that from Cap there probably is. I don't know Cap in any facility outside of this. So I have to assume that his zeal for the Lord is true and real, but it's misguided in some instances, and I think some of that misguidedness comes from what he's reading and what he's watching, and that's why I would definitely say Furtick is somewhere on that list, and maybe some Osteen, and possibly some non-religious but self-help books are where he's going to pull a lot of stuff from. Anything else?
The other point that it would be curious to see is he said brazen altar, if I remember correctly.
That's not Cap, though. That's the other person.
Right. Oh, that's right. Yeah, the other guy. And I'm just skimming. My suspicion, again, I don't have the research, but brazen reminds me of a King James.
Right. Yes. Yep.
The
exactly.
brazen altar.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a leaning of using probably a King James Bible.
Right. Yep.
That is informing his language about the tabernacle. So, and he uses tabernacle, right? Not tent. I don't know what all the more modern, maybe a lot of the modern English translations use tabernacle. Anyway, so yeah.
Got a KJV on that shelf somewhere, right?
Yeah. And so the question is that of Bible literacy, and I see these as efforts. This is like preschool learning the alphabet, and like they come in and like here I used a crayon to write, learn my ABCs, and some of the letters are backwards. It's like they're trying to learn biblical literacy, I hope. I put it this way. Someone who has these ideas and is entertaining this idea, that's not a problem. The question is, what do they do next? The question is, what do they do next? Do they go, oh, I want to learn more about the tabernacle, and then they let this go? Or do they go around and start repeating this and forwarding this information to other people? The people who are forwarding the information, probably like this guy, Cap, in my view, that's the wrong response. That's the wrong response. You don't take it and run. Because you want your roots to go deeper into the good soil. And that happens when you check the receipts. You take every thought captive to Messiah, and you're like, Lord, and you pray, and you don't, just like they say, you don't speedily lay hands on somebody, Paul tells Timothy. You don't just take some kind of cheesy Bible quote or a supposed Bible teaching and then just start distributing it.
Yeah,
that's
running
like,
with it.
You can't claim ignorance or say you can't be accountable. You are accountable. We are all accountable.
I said Chatfield. It's actually Chatfield, and I apologize.
Okay, sorry.
But hang on just a second. One of the things I want to do is I want to look at. Let's just see if I can find the short again, because you know what, I don't see. Let's go to shorts here. He has long videos as well, and let me just see what he's. I don't think you'd believe this, man. Cap here is really pulling an audience. His shorts are bringing in anywhere from 36,000 to 130,000 views. That's not. He's got 340,000 views, 212,000 views, 106,000, 586,000 views. So it seems like he's got a major audience. I mean,
yeah, well, sweets, right? Sugars, people like sugar.
Yeah. All right. I think that's going to do it for us. If you haven't yet, go back, watch show 433. It's gonna be a good one, and I hope that you enjoy it, and I hope that you enjoyed this show as well. If you want to send us videos, you can do so. See Hegg at TorahResource.com and CHEGG at TorahResource.com. Send us videos. We'll take a look at them, and maybe they'll become the next content for Mystery Bible Theater 3000 every single week, Fridays, here on Messiah Matters. We'll see you next week.